Okay. Now, one of the things that I need to cut a lot of, and this is going to be out of some of that laminated and paper covered carton board, are the supports for the corner cupboard. And they're all triangles, which is nice. Now, you can see I've cut out a bunch of triangles. If you look really carefully, wow, these are really not lined up really well. For a practice piece, it's not that bad, but I wanted to show you how I do this. I went ahead and made myself a template because I needed to have a pattern piece I could go back to with the exact measurements on all sides. And this piece, this is one of those little pieces of board that I've used before. Put this over here. And I've gone in and made sure that this is relatively, yeah, it's a little bit off. It's not terribly off. It's close enough to exact for me. Now, there have been times, I'm going to flip it over and do it on this side, where I have just placed these in corners and then grabbed my pencil. And this is not a 0.9, this is a 0.5. And just done that. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. However, when I know that I need to create for some pieces at least 8 of them, I need to do it a little bit better. So knowing that these are going to be 5.9 by 5.9 by 8.3, I'll come in and I'm going to measure it right from the edge. 5.9, I'm going to flip it, and 5.9 centimeters. These are not going to be exact, like total perfection. And I do some corrections to them, some mild corrections. So I want you to notice I'm drawing all the way. That line goes all the way across. And the reason for this is the most expedient way to make this many triangles is to, because I can get 2 triangles out of one of these squares. I'm going to double check this up here and see if this is, yep, that's right. And that is really not fabulous. Where's my eraser? I'm gonna come up here and give myself another line that I can line this up with. 5.9. Yeah, it's just about a 0.5 millimeter off, and I just don't like that. And I know it seems like, you know, it's a 0.5 millimeter off. Yeah, I could just let that go. But remember, when you're dealing with miniature things, a 0.5 millimeter is like an inch, practically. And so let's do 5.9. I keep it. Okay. There are times I love this ruler, but sometimes my eyes are getting old, and things just don't quite look right. And I'm looking at this right now, and it's not looking right to me. So this may be right, this may be like completely wrong. Let's just line these 2 up. Okay, that looks okay. And now what I'm going to do is, from the corner of each of the squares, and now I've got 2. And from here to here, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I didn't waste a whole lot. There's some there. Now, I do, before cutting out, go in and do some checking on measurements. That looks okay. That looks okay. So let's do another one like right here. So I'm going to come in 5.9. And like I said, my eyes are getting a little old. So sometimes there's some points during the day where it's like, especially with computer work, where it's like I just can't reliably see anymore. So I need to do something else. Okay. And I could, if I wanted to be all fancy, do it that way. I know for one piece I'm gonna need 8. So the reason I did this one the opposite direction is that sometimes I will lay them out with all of the triangles going the same direction so I can cut the long ways. But I've noticed I'm starting to get some uneven cuts, and I'm not exactly sure why. So, and I'm apparently just going to use my ruler for this one. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut them a little less the easy way to cut them. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because sometimes I just kind of go on autopilot. Oh man, seeing that line right there is so hard right now. I do have an eye appointment coming up in another month. So never fear. I have, ready for some TMI, I have some oddly shaped, what do you call them? Optic nerves. That there's a history of glaucoma in my family, and my optic nerves look like the beginnings of glaucoma. Frankly, I'd rather have glaucoma than the macro degeneration that my other grandmother had. Wilma had that. Elizabeth had the glaucoma. So you can see here I now have 2, 4, 6, 8. That's enough. It's nice to get them all out of the one piece. And then I'll come in here and get rid of any of these lines that I don't need, because these are safe pieces that I can now save pieces that I can use. Okay, sorry, I got it. Sometimes I just have to move the light. I'm not seeing something because there's glare. And then cutting these out is just super simple. I'm just going to cut out because I want to show you how I will fix them if they're a little weird. I tend to cut them out in the big square, and then squares and rectangles, and then take them apart. So let's just get these off of here. And then I can see that's already off just a smidgen. And cutting the triangles, I try to go when I'm going corner to corner, because the points are much smaller. I just don't want to goof them up. Okay, so now I have the 2 triangles. First thing I always do is try to line them up this way. Oh yeah, that lined up nicely. They're just a smidgen off. It's not a big deal. And then I grab the piece that I'm working on. This is the one where I'm going to need 8 of these. And I usually do the bottom, or a bottom or top first. Let me get the light in here so it's a little, you can see this a little bit better. And I push it as far as I can into the corner. What I don't want to see is, I don't want to see any, let me get this little tool. I don't want to see anything that pokes out from here. So even if it's not, how do I put this up here? Even if it's not perfect, you can see that's the paper's overlapping just a tiny bit. And then this is hitting just a, well, wait a minute. I think that is just a tiny bit over on that other side. So what I do, now that I have this, that was a really, you couldn't see anything. I will come in and with a really sharp blade, let's see if I can do this. I usually do this with this knife. I'll just shave a little bit off and then attempt to resize. And as long as everything is within the cabinet, I'm good. Yeah, that looks like that'll be okay. I'll also test it here to make sure. And you can see a little gap there. That can just be, that's easily, you know, there's a gap. I can easily press that down with glue. So that's how I cut these out. Now, you can see here that I've got some lines in here. These lines are directly from, from this piece. You forgot I was doing 2 of these. And let's get down in here. You can see I've written, these are from top. From the top fold here, I measure down, oh wait, this is upside down. It needs to go this way. This one is 2.6 millimeters from the top fold. This line, which is going to be a shelf, is 6.2 from the top fold. This one is 10.2 from the top fold. And then I also do the supports from the bottom as well. So this is 1.1, 3.6, 5.6. And that makes it easier to map these out. Then I can just go in and measure where they are and draw the lines in. There are times in which I forget to do that and I get all excited and I glue on the top and the bottom. In that case, I will simply, okay, let's see if I can do it. Yeah, this lighting over here is a little bit better. I'll simply lay the piece down next to the front piece, and then you can see where the lines are going to this is going to be a bottom shelf. These are supporting shelves. This is the top shelf here. This is a shelf here. Sometimes these can be a little, once it's folded like this, I like to use a triangle to do these, but because these are smaller pieces, I can only get the triangle in so far. So I use my ruler for the rest of them. And yes, they can come out a little wonky and a little crooked. I don't mind that, because it's one of the things that adds to the fact that it looks like it is handmade. Now let me adjust the light here. Okay, let me pull this one. No, let's do this one. Once I have the lines in, I will put this on top, the front piece, and bend pieces around it to make sure that where I have things looks like it's gonna line up. And if it looks a little incorrect, I can correct it. This looks pretty good. And I do see here too, can you see that little bit there that paper's pulling away? I'm gonna re-glue that and then shove it back under for a little while. So that's how I do that. It's not that big of a deal. It's actually fairly easy to do. I've also learned that when I'm cutting out these triangles to go in here, I also cut out some white triangles of paper, laminated paper, to go on the top. So you don't have to see this, and it makes it a little sturdier, so I can build more things on top of it if I need to, like some more trim work and decorative sorts of things. So yeah, that's this part of it. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how I glue all of these in place, and can then start working. I mean, it's like almost done at this point. I'll have the triangles cut out. It's almost done. They just basically need to be glued into place, but they need to kind of be done in a specific way so you don't lose your mind. So thanks, patrons, and I'll see you in the next video.